Good afternoon, good evening, and of course, a good morning to our friends around the world. Hi, my name is Wai T. Lightheart. I'm here tonight with the Prosperity and Health Alliance, and I'm reaching out across the airwaves. It's so good to be here. It's been a couple weeks since I've been in the saddle here on Monday nights. We had some technical difficulties one night. I was in Japan, just got back from there recently at the Enagic Global Convention. It was an amazing event with some powerful speakers and, of course, an opportunity to connect with our founder, Mr. Oshiro. It was wonderful. And for those of you who haven't seen the Facebook pictures, we got to see our trees. So when you're in Enagic, what happens when you hit the level of -3, what the company does is they plant a tree on the golf course where the Enagic spa and everything is. And that tree now serves as a symbol and will provide shade for people for many, many years and decades and even generations to come. So long after we're gone, our trees will be there. And that's kind of leads into what we're going to talk about tonight. And tonight, I want to share with you, I think what's one of the critical things. I gave a talk, and I'm going to provide access to this talk very soon. We did a really nice talk in Okinawa about the things that you need to do to build a business and to be influential. And one of the things that I recognized early on in my business, and this is key stuff for you guys, is the number one thing we need to get people to go to is 4A. So people are looking at, hey, I want to be a 6A, I want to be a 6A2, a 6A23. But if you look at the basic numbers of the Enagic business, and we're going to show you this tonight, if you look at the basic numbers of an Enagic business, when I did a critical analysis of my entire company, of all my distributors all around there, I realized this, that it's only about 1.7% of the people will actually get to 4A. So just under 2%, you're looking at basically 3 people out of 200 will get to 4A. But out of those people, out of the people that go 4A, over 85% end up be going 6As and beyond. So if there's a part that people are going to, Wade, what do I need to focus? How do I need to build a business? How do I work with my teams? What are the things that I need to do? It's this. You have got to go out and find a few key people, 1, 2, 3, or 4. 4 would be the optimal situation. Minimum you need to have 3, and absolutely no less than 2. And I'll explain why that is a little bit later. But you've got to find a couple of people that you can help get to 4A, because if you can help them get to 4A, then that will set you up for those -2 and -3 and -4 and -5 bonuses. And I've talked to all the leaders, the guys that are making hundreds of thousands and some of them, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, some of them more than that. And they've all went out and they had established a few key people in that front section. Now, sometimes they won't be in your first sponsor or your second sponsor. It'll be someone a little bit lower, but the bottom line is those will always push up the people that are above them, and getting to that point is extremely, extremely critical. So your goal when pitching the business or talking to people is you want to share with people, let's take you from 0 to 4A in the next 90 days. And there's a couple of key components about that. Number one is when you do that, that means you're going to help them make money. In other words, they've just invested $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, maybe as much as $10,000 to get started in this business, depending if they went with the entrepreneurial package or the home health package or whatever. And if they do that, you want to help them recoup that money as fast as possible. The other thing is when people start getting checks into their mailbox, that's very motivating, and that makes the money believable. And when they go out there and they get those the nilly-willy kind of steal your dreams, what happens is the dream killers will say, well, have you made any money on it? And they go, well, yeah, actually, I've already, I invested $10,000, but I brought in $1,500 in my first month, and I've got a couple more coming in. And the next month you come back and they say, oh, yeah, I'm now making, I made another $1,500 in the next month. And then the third month you're like, yeah, I've actually made all my money back already, and I'm on track to start being profitable. Now people are going, what? And what that does is it builds confidence for your individual distributor. And so if you've been there and you've been struggling and you're not there at 4A, you want to get to 4A, then I'm going to show you the blueprint of exactly what you need to do and how to do it. We're going to talk that tonight. And if you're a leader on this call, that means if you're 4A or above, you really need to pay attention to this, because you need to take this process and drill down and share it with the people in your organization, or simply identify the people that you want to go to 4A. Because once you get that going, your whole business expands. The other thing is, there's a third piece, and it's about setting expectations in your business. And what you share is, you, during that process, say, listen, I am going to do whatever I can to help you get to 4A. I'll do demos. I'll help you do calls. I'll do the inviting process with you. I'll do one-on-ones. I'll do, two-on-ones. I'll do group meetings. I'll do meetings at your house. I'll talk to your uncle, your brother, your cousin, whoever it happens to be, your friend, your boss, the person you want to talk about, whoever it happens to be. You got to be the person that's going to reach into there and help get them to that business. Number one, they're going to give you their leads much quicker if you're with them on that. Number two, you don't know these people for the most part, so it's going to be a lot easier for you to talk to them, and all they need to do is edify you and get a conversation. And during that process, you say they need to watch every single component so they can duplicate this process. So I'm really excited about this webinar tonight. I think it's going to be something you're going to share with all your teams at Enagic. I think it's something that's going to really transform your business. So let's get into it as fast as possible. So I'm going to roll through this as we go. So the bottom line is how to go 4A in 90 days or less. And this is something that you want everyone to do. So here's your responsibilities. Responsibilities of the leader. Okay. Number one is you got to figure out what your distributor wants. And what I mean by that is very, very, very simple. Okay. You got to ask your person, and you can write this down. Listen, how much money would it take for this to be worth your while? And I have this in the 4-point close. It's from Eric Worre's business model, the Network Marketing Pro. How much money would you make to work this well? And they say, okay, it's going to be $1,000 a month, or $2,000 a month, or $3,000, or maybe it's $500 a month. Okay, great. Whatever that number is. And how much time are you willing to put into this? And they say X amount of dollar. And how long are you willing to do that for until you hit your goals? And by doing that, and then you say, if I can show you how to make whatever their number is, working this many hours a week for this amount of time, are you willing to take that step? Are you willing to work with me? So just like you're selling the clothes on the machine, you can sell the clothes on you guys working together. And so my most successful distributors happened because we worked together. And when they started out, I helped them grow their business until they could do it themselves. Number two, you got to find out their level of interest. I think what happens so often in this business is people want to be an end user, and they might want to get full level, some referral commissions or something, but they really don't want to build a business. They really don't want to be a network marketing professional. They really don't have it in them to be successful. And what you're doing is you're beating on them and asking them and going all this stuff. You're trying to raise the dead. So find out their level of interest. That's for their sake and for your sake. So this will determine, are you, Bob, Mary, Sue, whatever your name, that prospect or that business owner is, hey, what's your level of interest? What's your expectations? Okay. Now, that comes to level 3. So the first thing is find out what they want. Number 2, find out their interest. I'll give you a quick clue. This was given to me by my sponsor back in the day. I said, how do you know if you have a leader? How do you know someone's going to be? He goes, if they're calling you. If that person is calling you and asking you to do things or asking questions about the business, guess what? They're interested. They're very interested. And so if you're not at a level of 4A, you want to be calling your upline and getting some help. You want to be the one saying, hey, help me. I want to build my business. Help me. And then you go out and do it. And if you're above 4A and you got people in your business, go through that list, find out the level of interest each one. You probably have a couple of leaders lying in there that you don't know, who are scared to reach out to you, who don't think you're interested, or don't think you have the time to help them, or they've just been, beat up a couple times and they're scared. You got to reach out and find them and grab them and take them by the hand and say, you know what, I'm going to hold your hand every step of the way. We're going 4A together. Let's do this great thing and do it. Number 3, You got to set expectations and standards, okay? So you need to be clear about what you're willing to do, and then you got to set the standard and do a little bit better than that, okay? Because what's going to happen, they're going to duplicate everything you do. Set the expectations, and you say, okay, Bob, we're going to meet every week at this time, and we're going to do a texting thing together, and we're going to do the texting outs, or we're going to do the call outs, or we're going to meet people. And then we're going to set a time when we're going to set for three-way calls. Now, let's say you're working with your business person, and they can work with you Tuesdays and Thursdays. And you have a local meeting on Thursdays. Say, okay, Bob, on Tuesday, I'm going to go with you. We're going to spend an hour together, either together or on the phone or whatever. I do suggest that if you can meet in person, it's always great, or do a Skype call. It's kind of like person where you can see their facial features and stuff. And so, hey, guess what? We're going to get on this together, and we're going to go through that list of yours. And you're going to help them bring out that list, and then you're going to reach out with them and text those people or contact those people or whatever. Now, guess what? You set the time for Thursday. That's either the public meeting, or it's a one-on-one meeting, or it's both, whatever that, and same as Saturday. Maybe you have a one-on-one meeting Saturday or presentation on Saturday, and you set the times that you can work. You say, I'm available from 12 to 2 on Saturday. I'm available from 7 to 9 on Thursday, and I'm available from 6 to 8 on Tuesday. And that way, your prospect knows what days you're available and what days you can take calls, what days you can do texting with them, what days you can work on the business. And that way, when they're talking to people or getting back to people, they can get back instantly and say, oh, yes, by the way, my partner can meet with you on Thursday from 7 to 9, or they can meet from you on Saturday from 12 to 2. Which time works best for you? And when you give people an option between a yes, and you already know what that time is, you make things so much easier for yourself and so much easier for your prospects. When it comes to showing up, your expectation is you show up on time is 10 minutes early. If the meeting's at 7 o'clock, you should be there at 6:50, no later. Okay? You should be dressed appropriately in a professional looking manner. This is setting the standard. You should have the materials ready, your demo supplies ready, all of that stuff. And when you're the leader, you're going to start doing that, and then you're going to teach them over that 4 weeks that they're going to, in each week you add another thing. Okay, you're going to bring the demo supplies. You're going to do this. You're going to do the introductions at the demo. You're going to do your 60-second story. So over that time, you're building them up so that they can do a presentation, and they've seen you do it over and over. They've practiced with you. They know the things that can go wrong. They know the things that can go right, and they're ready to go. Now, that is, if you do those three things, you're going to have a world-class business, and people are going to follow you because you're setting the standard as a leader. Now, keep in mind, number 4, you got to assist them in meetings. You've got to help them with the invitation calls, whether that's 3 ways, demonstration, organization, schedule. When you sponsor somebody, the business begins after they sign the papers. So you don't just take the commission and run. That's what a lot of people do, and just leave them out there, and then the person goes, well, my upline didn't help me. Well, that's probably true. The upline didn't help me. So you've got to take responsibility as a leader and say, okay, you know what? We're going to work this together. What's your time frame? What can you do? How can I help you? What are the things you need support for? You need to go through the checklist with them. Make sure they know all the single components. They know how to get an order online. They know how to fill out a form. And you do this with them. So now you're helping them manage the emotional stress of getting started. It's stressful. There's a lot of things. They don't know if they can do it. They've invested a lot of money. They might be getting pressure from their spouse or their family members. Okay, they're probably getting into this because they need more income. So there might be financial pressures going on in their life. There's all kinds of unseen things. Maybe they've always dreamed of having their business in the last chance. Who knows what's going on? But the bottom line is, if you can reach out to them, grab them, lock arms, and go forward and assist them in all these components, guess what? Not only are they going to be more successful quicker, but they're going to duplicate that later on, and you're going to be able to help them be a better leader as they move on. You can say, hey, Bob, Mary, remember when we started out? This is what I need you to do for your people. And they go, got it. And they'll remember what it was like to have that level of uncertainty, to not sure if they can do it, but then to be able to go there and say, you know what, I can do this. I am going to do this, and I can do that. Now, we're going to talk about number 5, responsibility leader. And this is to help them qualify, educate, and close leads. So if you're following the format that we go by in the Prosperity and Health Alliance, you send out the 25 texts, you follow up with the emails, and then you follow up with the phone calls. And this allows people, so if you're sending out 25 texts a week, believe me, you are going to have demonstrations to do. If you're not sending out those 25 texts, you're done. It's not going to happen. If you send out those 25 texts every single week, you will have appointments every single week. And all the top leaders all said the same thing. If you want to really make it, you want to be averaging a demo a day. You get a demo a day, sooner or later that's going to be a check a day. And that's going to replicate down through your organization until you get to a point where you're having multiple demos all over the world and you're not even doing them. But you got to be willing to do it yourself first when nobody believes you or nobody's in your company or nobody's inside the thing. You got to be willing to do that. And when you're looking at new prospects, you got to talk to people. I mean, our business is open for everybody, but not everybody is going to do it, and nor is everybody going to qualify for it. And I would encourage you to look at it this way. In your presentations, you are looking to see if people qualify to work with you. People will apply for a job. They'll apply for a loan. It's an application to join your business. So don't be afraid to take it away from people who are going to waste your time. Say, you know what, I don't think you're cut out for this. They go, what? No, really. If you want to own our technology, that would be great, but this is what we expect in our organization. Changes the game. When people feel that they have to qualify to be part of your organization, it's different. The other thing is you want to look at patterns of behavior. Does this person that you're meeting show up on time? Do they have a positive attitude? Do they do what they say? Do they make the meetings? Do they do the phone calls, or do they have excuses and you're chasing them? Do they follow up when they say, or send an email when they say, or make a decision when they say? These are signs of leadership, and you want those type of people. If they're not showing up when they say they're going to, if they're not calling you back or responding to your texts or your emails or your phone calls, if they're wishy-washy when it comes to the business, you got to realize, you know what, it's probably not for them right now. You need to move on. You need to go to the next one and keep moving. Drip on them, but keep moving. The next thing is educate. When you start out, you got to be doing the education to your prospects or your clients' prospects for them. You got to be able to teach them how to do a demo. You got to teach them how to fill out a form. You got to teach them how to clean the machine. You got to teach them how to get a demo kit. You have to teach them how to do an invite. You have to teach them how to do a follow-up, and you have to teach them how to close a lead. We have all this listed out. It's all inside your autoresponder sequence, every single component. So you can go through every one of those sheets and do it with them. And if you haven't done that and you're with someone else that would say, hey, you know what? I haven't done this either, but let's do it together. Simple as that. You know what? I'm in the same boat too, but let's do it together. And there's power in that. It's fun in that. It's an adventure in that. It's exciting in that. People's lives aren't really that exciting. People are watching The Walking Dead and the zombies and the apocalypses and the fake news and the real news. Who even knows what that is? And people's lives are pretty boring, you know. And the bottom line is, it's like, hey, we're going to do something exciting. We're going to do this together. We're going to drive and do some demos. We're going to do some things online. We're going to deliver water. We're going to have a lot of fun. And you know, you talk about, when you're traveling in those cars together, you're doing those things. You're sharing your dreams. You're building bondage. You're connecting with your people. You're building a relationship. This is the responsibility of the leader. You got to build trust, and you got to inspire, and you got to educate. And when you do that, you're going to help them close those leads. And then that helps them make money. And then later on in their business, when they're up to that level, you're going to say, hey, that's what you got to do for your team. And you're going to have earned the right to let them go alone. Earn the right to let them go alone. Does that make sense to you? The other thing is, and this is something that's very, very important, when you are around their initial prospects, when you are around the people that they are in prospecting in the business or have just joined the business, you got to learn how to edify and empower them with the skill set of the person you're working with. So if you're working with, I'll give you an example. When I was working with Siha, I can remember going down the and I tell his teammates, I said, wow, are you guys ever lucky to have Siha? I've been in this business now for a year. I've never seen anybody work as hard as this guy. I've never seen anybody as motivated as this guy. I've never seen anybody that has a family like this guy. I found all the things that were true, all the great characteristics of my distributor, and I tell the team about them. I share those things with them. I edify them, right? And then you've got to be able to identify the superpowers in your teammates. For example, you might see a person that they're actually good at doing the demo, or they're good at organization, or they're good at invites. And you got to say, you know what, Mary, I noticed that you're really good at invites. What is it that you're doing? Sally, I noticed you dress really sharp. You're very professional when you come to the meetings, and everything is so organized and detailed. How do you do that? And then and then when you're at the meetings, you're going to talk about, hey, we've got the hardest working man. When you're doing a group meeting, we got the hardest working man, Siha Top over here. He's amazing, building a great organization. We've got Sally, who handles our organization. She's over there in the corner, dressed sharp as ever, right? We've got the water angels here, Mary and Dan, and they're here to help serve everybody. You got to see the elements of people, and you got to edify and empower them and recognize people for the skills that they have and help each other work together so you balance things out. This is the edification, empowering, and I'll tell you what, people will do more for recognition than they will for money. I'm going to say that again. People will do more, okay, for recognition than they will for money. So make sure you're money. I put up a lot of YouTube videos. I put a YouTube video up about a tree that I got recognized for in Enagic, and it had like almost 10 times the amount of views that I get on a normal video. Why? People love recognition. People are thinking, wow, I'd like to have a tree planted in Japan for me. That's what they're thinking. And so if you can recognize that and reach into it and recognize people for what they are, you know, maybe that person has never gotten a compliment in their whole life. Maybe they've been beaten down by somebody their whole life, and they have this latent ability and the skill. And if you see that in them and you reach out to them and you build that in your business, guess what? That's what a leader does. And you find the essential components, and that person starts building their confidence. And that person says, you know what? I might be able to do something else. I might be able to learn that. And they build self-confidence. And then finally, you got to duplicate, you got to duplicate, you got to duplicate, you got to duplicate, you got to duplicate. Recognize this. You have to build a business based on the duplicatable skills, not on your unique superpowers. And I'm going to tell you, I'll share a personal story. One of the mistakes I made early on in the business was I got like absolutely world class at the demo. It was the thing that I did better than anybody else. I saw a great demo with George, and then my sponsor was Sam, and these guys were world class presenters, world class salespeople, and they did an amazing demo. And I learned their demo inside, outside, backwards. I added pieces to it. I did this whole thing. I loved the demo, and I did the demo so good that nobody else on my team wanted to do it. So they only wanted to come to my demos. They didn't want to go to the other people's demo because that demo wasn't as good. Or they didn't think that they could do the demo because it wasn't as good. And that was a big, 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 big mistake. And I learned from it. Eventually, I just moved away from the place from where I was living for a couple of years and let other people do the demo. They had to step up. And they got great at the demo, and they did awesome. And the best part was, the best part about not being able to do a perfect demo is that other people can go, you know what, I could do a demo better than that person. And believe me this, I learned this from Dave Lessman. Dave Lessman, who's a 6A, like 10-3, lives in Manhattan Beach in a glass house, amazing guy. This guy did a demo where he looked like he could barely stand. He was spilling water all over the place. He was just telling, it was an absolute, it looked like one of the Three Stooges was doing the demo. And he went 6A, 10-3. Why? Because people are like, you know what, if this guy can do it, I can do it. So remember that your less than perfect demo is perfect. If you're nervous, tell people, hey, you know what, I'm terrified to do this demo today. But you know what? It's so darn important and I care so much about you and I care so much about this mission. I'm going to do it anyways. And all of a sudden people's hearts open up and they go, oh my God, you're willing to do that? You're willing to do a demonstration when you're scared? Wow. You see, you got to realize people are fearful of that stuff. People are fearful of public speaking. People are fearful of rejection. And so if you are able to be vulnerable and be able to share those things inside your demos and inside your relationships and empower people and edify them, people are going to want to go to bat for you and say, you know what, Bob, you really suck at organization. Let me do that for you. You know, Mary, I know that you're not so good at the demos. I'll do the demos for the group this week. And you can learn from me and you can just introduce us. That's the power. That's the magic of Enagic. But what you do will duplicate. If you go off and build a system that no one else can do, but you can do, you'll be a very lonely leader. And I know people have done that. So, and I'm saying that you don't build those systems, but remember that when you're dealing with people, make sure that they can duplicate what you're doing. Now, here's the responsibilities of the new distributor. So that what I just told you here was for the 4As and above. Okay? By the time you're 4A, you should be doing the demo. You should be able to do every single component of the business. You should be able to fill out a form. You should be able to get a machine. You should be able to clean a machine. You should be able to set up a machine in somebody's home. And you should be able to do a demonstration. You should be able to invite. You should be able to close. You should be able to follow up. And you should be able to teach other people to do it. That's really the goal. And it's not that hard. It sounds like a lot, but it's not that much. When you look at regular business and what it takes to be successful in regular business, it's the thing. So now here's what it is with the new distributors. Number one, be truthful with your interest and be truthful with your time commitments. You got to let people know, hey man, you know what? I got a lot of things going on. I got kids and stuff. You know, I'll come once a month. Fair enough. That's fine. Or if you say I can do 20 hours a week and you show up for 3 and start belly aching that the business isn't working for you, not going to cut it. So be truthful with your interest and live up to their time commitments. It's better to commit to less than you think you can do than to commit than more than you know you can do. And a lot of people will say that. I get that all the time. Yeah, I'll work 20 hours a week. Will you? Will you really? Will you really put 20 hours a week in this? If you do, you're going to do great. If you don't, and you said that you were going to, you got to realize is you're eating up the time of your upline, your sponsor. And if they're growing in the business, and a lot of people say, oh, gee, Wade, I wish I was, you know, under you, or I wish I was under Siha, or I wish under Creel, or one of the top leaders, or, you know, I wish I was under so-and-so. What they don't realize is this, is being under the top person is not necessarily the best place to be, because guess what? That person doesn't have a lot of time. If you're somebody that's relatively new, you could say, hey, you know what? I'm here with a lot of, I'm committed. So as a new distributor, you got to work with the people. You got to work with the time frames, and you got to commit to your time frames. You got to say, I'm going to work harder than my sponsor. And of course, Eric Worre says, I'm going to fire your sponsor. But the bottom line is, you got to initiate calls, emails, and questions with your leader. You got to reach out to them. You got to text them. You got to call them. You got to email. You got to let them know that you're a hot potato. You got to let them know that you're on fire and aren't taking no for an answer. You got to let them know that you are going out there and you're going to build a big business and you want support. Believe me, if you let people know and you get onto it, they'll respond. A lot of people say, well, I haven't heard from my sponsor. Yeah, well, you haven't contacted them. You haven't been the squeaky wheel. You haven't been the noisemaker saying, hey, I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's get there. I'm struggling with this. Can I get some help? Can I get some? Do what you do. That's what all the top people do. The other thing is you got to go out and obtain all the presentation materials, the bottles, the demonstration supplies, all that stuff. There is nothing better as a leader. There's nothing more motivating as a leader than when your new distributor or one of your is out there asking questions and having the materials ready for you if you're doing a presentation. getting the bottles, getting all the stuff done, getting the demonstration supplies. You got all that stuff. You go and get those demonstration supplies and you have that ready. I recommend having I have a little carry-on bag that's ready to go. It's got all the gear in it. It's got testing equipment. It's got everything ready to go. Boom, out the door, done. We're on it. I can go out the door ready. Have a kit prepared, like a carry-on bag or something like that. I learned this from one of my 6A leaders, Lamont Daigle, who was in the pharmaceutical industry. And when I go to Toronto, this guy had a whole kit. He had a whole kit, and it was so perfect. It had all the forms in it. It had the water bottles in it. It had the tomatoes in it. It had the oils, the drops. It had rags to wipe things down. It had the spray bottle. It had everything. And I would show up and he'd say, yep, ready to go. And he would just reach into her. We'd take it out of the car and we'd be off to that place. And that was a big lesson for me. I was like, wow, this guy's so prepared. And we went out and we went 6A real quick with Lamont. We did a lot of demos and we drove a lot of miles and we had a lot of fun. I remember we were driving around listening to Johnny Cash, singing in the car and doing demos all over Ontario. It was a great, great time. Snowstorms, everything. It was a lot of fun. And these things, you look back with fondness later on. So get your materials, your bottles, everything. Number one, you got to learn, practice, and present your stories, and you need to get this down into 60 seconds. The worst thing that happens at demonstrations is people go on a 15-minute story. That's the job of the presenter. That is not the job of the person doing a testimonial. So it's very, very simple. You've got to learn, practice, and present your story in 60 seconds. Eric Worre shows you how to do that. We have that inside the autoresponder sequence at Prosperity Health Alliance, how to do a story. And then you practice that story until you have it down in 60 seconds. This is an art. This is a skill. This is how to be succinct. Attention spans these days aren't that good, okay? So you got to get that down quick and efficient and move on. Because if you're doing a room, there might be 5, 10, 15 people who've got a presentation or a story. So if you tell your story and it takes 15 minutes and 5 or 10 people don't get to tell their story, what you don't realize is maybe 1 or 2 of those people in those other stories was exactly what your prospect needed to hear, and they didn't hear it because you told a 15-minute epic. You see the point here? So getting your story down quick and precise, and this is also going to serve you when you meet people or you're talking to them on the phone. You can share that story real quick, and then you can always learn to expand it or go on later on, but you need to get it down to 60 seconds. The other thing is, fifth thing, what you got to do as a distributor is you gotta split your time. You got to spend half your time learning, 50% of your time learning, and 50% of your time doing. You got to avoid analysis paralysis. I'll tell you, man, you get into the thinking zone and you get into when we do this, or if I had that, or if we're going to do this, or if I get to that point, you're dead. You're dead. You got to take action. There's nothing worse than sitting there and say, well, as soon as I know this, just take action. Move forward. Keep moving forward no matter what. The people who this is ready for, they're going to be ready for it, okay? And if you're worried about taking action about that, this is where you key up with your leader and say, hey, I need help reaching out to these prospects. I need help doing this demo tomorrow night. I need help on this one-on-one meeting. Just book the meetings and get the help. Book the meetings, get the help. Book the demos, get the help. Book the time to do the reach out and get the help. So spend 50 and 50. Half your time learning. We talked about this early. Be on time early and never skip a meeting. Look, I know sometimes you don't want to be on these calls. I know sometimes that you don't want to be going to your local demo because maybe your prospect skipped out. Maybe your prospect skipped out on the meeting at the last minute. Does that mean you shouldn't go? No. It means you really need to go because next week you need to bring 2. You got to set a standard in your life that you're going to stand by. You got to set those parameters and you got to do the work even when it's painful. Because when you do the work that's painful, it becomes easy. And you can always ask other people to do the same thing. That's the most important. So be on time. That means being 10 minutes early and never, ever, ever skip a meeting. When I started out this business, okay, when I first got going, for 2 straight years, I was at Tuesdays and Thursdays meetings, and I held my own by the second half of that. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, every Tuesday, every Thursday, I was doing a meeting. I didn't skip one. Okay, so let's look at that for a second. That's a total of about 100 meetings. 100 meetings. That's only 200 hours. Think about that. That's 5 40-hour weeks in a year. That's not that much. So you can do this. Don't skip the meetings. Get out there, do it. You'll believe me. You'll learn something every meeting. You'll get down there. You can help out and recognize that your testimony in that meeting, your 60-second testimonial, that might help close somebody else in somebody else's business. And I do believe that you reap what you sow, that you get back things that you put out. People say, oh, the business is not working for you. You know what? You're not putting out enough. You're not doing enough. You're not working hard enough. You're not putting the time on the things that make a difference. You're putting the time on the things that don't make a difference, or on the people that don't make a difference. That's the reality of it. The other thing is, the final thing is you need to commit to being self-sufficient by 4A. By 4A, you need to fire your upline. By 4A, you're only going to bring them in for certain things. By 4A, you want to be able to do a demo and run with this business, and then you bring in what I call the heavy hitters to work with the leader. You say, hey, you know what, I'm working with a group of socially conscious entrepreneurs in this amazing environmental, socially conscious water project all around the world with a Japanese company that's been in business for over 40 years. We've got points of sales and service all around the globe. And I've got for you my business partner, you know, Mary or Joe, and Mary has carved out an hour of his time to kind of break down how this business is going to work for you. And that's when you schedule a one-on-one meeting with those people. That may not be a demo. It's usually because you think that they're maybe at a level of success, or someone who, you know, you might have a long-term relationship with, but you might be a little intimidated by. That's when you want to bring them into your business support. And when you do that, you're going to make a lot of money. So just to give you an example how that worked, with Siha Top and with Creel Hutchinson, I didn't have the street creds. I hadn't built a successful business in this arena before. And both of those guys had some very difficult questions and some things that they want to talk about. You know, Creel was in another network marketing business, and Siha had just, you know, gone through, you know, he had built a large multi-gazillion-dollar business. It was one of the most well-respected real estate brokers in all of in all of the state of Washington. And I realized that, you know what, for these guys, I need to bring in my upline. And my upline was able to lay out for them clearly that they could reach their dreams, that they could reach their financial goals. You got to realize that your best prospects, the people that are going to grow your business, are the people that you're a little bit of intimidated by talking to. And that's a good sign, not a bad sign. And so by taking that on, that's when you're, you know, at 4A, that's probably when you're going to have enough confidence. You've got it. You know what? You've made your money back in the business. You've got a successful organization. You're starting to rock those, you know, 4-figure plus checks, right? You're making 4 figures a sale. Now, you know, people's like, well, how much are you making? Yeah, I'm making $11.40 a sale, right? I'm making $1,300 a sale, $1,500 a sale. Well, people are like, you're making that much money a sale? Yeah, let me hook you up with my business partner. He's making a lot more than me, and I think he could lay out a plan for you that would really help you achieve your goals. That's an important thing. And of course, you found out what their goals are. You found out the information, their hot things, and you're going to relay that back to your leader before you meet. That's where the business kind of changes a little bit when you get to 4A. Now, let's talk about game plan. So the game plan works like this. So we've got, first we did the responsibilities of the leader. Then we did the responsibilities of the distributor. Now we're going to talk game plan. And game plan is really, really important. Number one, you got to hold a meeting with your leader every single week. And you got to send out 25 texts each week, and you need to book a minimum of 7 presentations. And you go, holy crap, Wade, are you serious? I'm talking about going 4A in 90 days. You want to go 4A in 90 days. I'll tell you what, if you're tracking your presentations and you find out how many presentations that you've actually done, you actually check out how many presentations you've done and how many people actually closed and how long that took, you'll be surprised how effective this business is. Believe me, if you do 7 presentations a week, okay, that means you're going to do approximately 30 presentations a month. That means you're going to do 90 presentations in 90 days, right? The 90 and 90. Guess what? That's what Romy went 6A on. He went 6A on 100 presentations. He said, I need to do 100 presentations in my first 90 days. I got to go 6A in that time. We're just saying go 4A. If you do that many, you might end up 6A. But the bottom line is, this is where it goes. And if you're doing 25 texts, that's only a 33% closing. It's actually less than that, right? That your closing on this is around what, 20%? So that means you'll get 20%. And keep in mind, the people that don't respond or can't go back, you get to retext them the next week. So out of these 7 presentations, you've got 18 left over. You only need to add another 7 to go back. You see what I'm saying? So it's not nearly as, that first week, the second week's tough. But after that, you've got what's called momentum. And when they start sending out texts, oftentimes they're going to start booking presentations with you. And then there's going to be like 5, 10, and 15 people at some of these presentations by the end of 90 days. You're going to have a group. You're going to be part of a group. So it compounds. It compounds. But I still believe in doing one-on-one presentations, especially when you're starting to go out and do the one-on-ones. Go to people's houses. Take the presentation to them. Go into their house. Fill up the water. Do the presentation. Move on. Number thing, track your results together and hold each other accountable. You got to hold each other accountable. You got to hold your leader accountable, and you got to hold you accountable. Right? And if you do this and you hold each other accountable, you will be successful. Okay? Number 3, you got to set the one-on-ones, the two-on-ones, and the 3-way meetings with your prospects. You got to leverage your leader. If you're not leveraging your leader, you know, there's so many things that you don't know and that are going to cause delays. So by using the one-on-ones, the two-on-ones, and the 3-way meetings with the prospects, that's a powerful way to bring other people into this, to bring in other narrative, and also you to be an observer in those meetings to see how that other person handles that. When you're that third person observer, you learn at a faster rate. You don't learn when you're talking. You learn when you're listening, and you learn when you're observing. That's why we have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. So recognize that. So listen, observe, make notes, watch your prospect, watch your leader, see how they're responding, see what their hot buttons are, see what their objections are. When you're the observer, you're going to get data, and then you can, after the meeting, you can connect up and you can discuss what you both observed. And you're probably going to get some pretty accurate information. If you're serious about it, host demonstrations twice per week. So that means you can average 1 presentation. Now, why is hosting a demonstration so powerful? Well, because your other team members can come learn the demo. They can come learn a presentation. They can come connect with you. You start building a culture. You start building a social structure. You start building a connection. Very, very powerful. I know the top leaders, a lot of them are doing webinars. I talked to a couple of them. They're doing webinars every single day. So that's another thing you can do. Keep in mind, you can do a presentation every day. You can schedule a meeting every day, and right from your computer in your pajamas, you can be sending a webinar. You can show them Kangen demo. You can use GoToWebinars. You can use a webinar sequence. You can bring up a YouTube video. You can go on Skype and share your screen, right? All of these things are open to you. And you can hit that demo day. You can do a demo a day literally on an hour investment, 1 hour a day. Once you get this thing rolling, send your 25 texts out, do 2 presentations once a week, take Sundays off. Or take Saturday and Sunday off, double down on 2 days. That's it. That's all you need to do. Okay? So it's really, really important to do those demonstrations. Believe me, the demonstration. 2, 5. Make sure you attend and get your new distributors on the prosperityhealthalliance.com. You got to get people on the Monday Night Webers. You got to get them on our automated training system. Why? Because that's going to save you a lot of time. We built this because it was all our shortcomings. We looked at this and said, what are all the things that we are doing over and over and over again and are taking up time? And it was all these items. So we built this so that you don't have to waste all the time figuring all these things out. You don't have to waste all your time finding out where all the videos are. You don't have to waste your time finding out where the demo supplies are. You don't have to find out where the cleaning supplies are, or how to set up a website, or how to do an invite, or the scripts to an email, all that stuff. It's all in there. It's all written for you. It's all done for you. All you need to do is cut, paste, send. Okay, so remember that. What are the 3 things that you need to learn? How to cut, how to paste, how to send. Cut, paste, send. 1, 2, 3. That's all you need to do. It's all in the Prosperity and Health Alliance, in that automated training system. And number 6, this is the critical. You got to follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune is in the follow up. Let me tell you this. My early distributor told me this. And you know what? The follow up, I cannot tell you how many distributors, how many sales. There's been hundreds of sales in my organizations to people who had been to a demo 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. And the person didn't follow up with them. And they came out of the woodwork and they said, yeah, I went to a demo 5 years ago. Yeah, I never heard from the person again. I figured they didn't care. Are you kidding me? And I'm guilty. I'm not here to talk down to anybody, because I'm guilty of this. I've made that mistake. In fact, I've surrounded myself with people who are really great at following up, because I know I struggle with that sometimes. Because I get them, I'm like, okay, let's follow up on Bob, Mary, and Sue, and they go follow up, and then I'll show up for the meeting, and we'll get that going. And so, you know, in my other businesses too, I have people to help me do the follow up. I help automate it. I create an automated system. The Prosperity and Health Alliance is an automated follow-up system for every single person who joins our organization. And by the way, we keep that open to all Enagic distributors. So if you're not on our team, that's okay. Please use the information, share it with your teams, bring them on the site. We're here to help everybody in Enagic. So we're not a closed circuit. We're not into that idea. We all believe you. And we all believe in you, because we know that as machines move in everybody's organization, as the message gets out, as we hit that critical mass, that means eventually we're going to be order takers. People are going to call us and we're just going to be taking orders. That's it. So build a business now. Now, 7, you got to figure out who your leaders are, and you got to grow them into 4As. So you need to replicate and duplicate this process. So you got to find out. And how do you figure out who your leaders are? They're calling you, they're texting you, they're emailing you, they're asking you lots of questions. That's the people who are interested. Very, very critical. So resources, prosperityandhealthalliance.com and GoPro by Eric Worre. All of this stuff is on our website, prosperityandhealthalliance.com. Please send your clients and customers and distributors to this site. We're here to help. And if you haven't read GoPro by Eric Worre, or you haven't watched his videos on all these things, just sign up and do it. Get his book, watch his videos, get on his email list. He's an amazing trainer. He's laid out all the nuance of this business probably better than anybody out there. And the guy really cares about people. So it's great resources and great tools. So the last thing I'm going to lead you with is, which part of this do you need to work on? And be honest with yourself. Do you need to be a better leader, or do you need to be a better student? Do you need to book the time? Do you need to come clean on your commitments and show up when you say you are? Do you need to step up to some aspect of your business? Do you need to send out more text? Do you need to do one-on-ones? Do you need to leverage your upline? Which part of this do you need to work on? So write that down right now. Before we go to calls and the questions. So by the way, we're taking questions. Whatever your question is about Enagic on the bottom, we're going to take that in a second. You can just type it into the chat. Kim is going to have that ready for us. You can just click on the chat thing and put in your chat questions right now. But while we're doing that, decide which part of this presentation that you had something that was a hit for you, that you felt something that you said, oh yeah, I need to do more of that. Take that right now, write it down, and I want you to commit to getting the help you need with that process. Because The bottom line, if it was easy for you, you would have been doing it already. And that means it's a blind spot or it's a flat spot or it's a spot that you're having a challenge with. And the only way to get past that is to surrender to it and acknowledge, hey, you know what, I suck at this, or I'm not so good at this, or I'm not showing up for this. Accept it and go get the help that you need, whether that's a coach, whether it's an advisor, whether it's your upline, whatever it is, get the help that you need and commit to solving that and overcome that, because the obstacle is the path. So write down right now what part that you need to work on. And with that, I think what we're going to do is we're going to turn it over to the questions. Great to have you on here. And how to go 4A in 90 days. So questions, just type it in, and we'll be happy to have them.
You know, Wade, can I add something to this?
Oh, absolutely, of course.
I've worked with Wade. This is Kimberly, for those of you who don't know who I am, while Wade's pulling up the questions. I worked with Wade, and I actually stumbled upon Enagic by mistake. It was at an event that Wade got up and did a presentation, asked me to help him with his water presentation. I was totally just blown away by the presentation. Ended up working with Wade, and at the end of 2015 decided that I wanted a machine and I wanted to work with Wade and do the business. And a couple things held me back, but once I started doing what Wade talked about specifically in this presentation tonight, which Wade, I think, has been one of the best presentations that you've delivered at the Prosperity and Health Alliance. There are many, but this was really one that spoke a lot to me. I'm a 4A, about to be a 5A, because of the things that Wade talked about in tonight's presentation. I'm leading people. I'm doing a demo. My goal is a demo a day. I've got some distributors on tonight that are working with me. Jim Dollhouse, I want to give a shout out to him in Indiana. He is working really hard, and I'm super proud of him. He is connecting me to people every single day. I don't call Jim, Jim calls me. And there is a big difference to people that call you as a leader, but you have to show up as a leader. I go out, I set people up, I work with them, I help them, I do whatever I can to get them to the next step. I'm there, I'm present, and these people are working hard for me. And because of that, I'm about to become a 5A, and I'm really proud of that. So I just want to say thank you, Wade. This was just a dynamite presentation tonight. There's a lot of value here. I hope you all go out and share this particular webinar with people in your downline, because this was powerful. Thank you for this presentation tonight, Wade.
Well, thanks, Kim, and it's true. When you start taking on the responsibilities as you have recently, and you start seeing that the business grows exponentially at that point. So just people need to be guided. So let's go to the questions tonight. We've got a lot of people on the lines. We got so many people I can hardly say hi to everybody. So I'm just going to say a broad-based hi to everybody that's on the line tonight. Someone's saying, this is coming from Sonia Brode. What do you say in the text you send to people in your warm market that you're tired of you talking about this water? Well, first and foremost, you got one of the things that I think is really great, and it comes out of Jordan Belfort's sales system, Straight Line Persuasion, and I recommend everybody go up and buy that course. It'll make you millions. It really will. One of the things that he says is, please don't mistake my enthusiasm for pressure. So I'm going to actually, Kim, can you type that? Or maybe we can type that in. I'll see if I can do that. Please don't mistake my enthusiasm for pressure. I don't know if we can send all. There we go. So I just typed that into the chat. That's a really, really, really great softener, because, you know, maybe you push the buttons on this person. Maybe they're like, oh my God, here comes Sonia again, blah, blah, blah. She's crazy about this water. Maybe they've had a bad experience with network marketing. Maybe they have a financial, you don't know what's really off by them, but you just got to go and reach out to them and say, hey, you know what, Mary? Please don't mistake my enthusiasm for pressure. I know that I've been hitting you with texts and phone calls and everything, and I know how you feel, but and I felt the same way when I was getting pressure. But look, here's what I found. I found that this water changed my life. I found that this water has helped so many people. I know there's an area in your life that this would go, and I would just really appreciate if you would take a look at it. Or you could say, hey, you know what? I know maybe this business isn't for you or this water isn't for you, but look, I'm really determined to build this business, and as your friend, I need your feedback. I need you to give me some just your honest feedback on the presentation, and then I won't bug you anymore. But I will say this. I'm going to keep hammering on you until you see this, because I would be doing you a disservice. You can say that again. I'd be doing you a disservice if I didn't drive home to get your attention on this. It's that powerful. And say it like that with emphasis. And go silent and look at their eyes and wait till they speak. Don't say a word. And sometimes the biggest thing that you can do is to not say anything. Okay, so the other thing is, after they go to that demonstration, or after they go, let's say they're not interested, and it was somebody on the friend, or you might have pushed that button. What you want to do is afterwards, you want to send them a nice little gift. Could be a Starbucks card, might be something they like, or a little thank you note or something, saying, you know what, I recognize that, you know, you're not interested at this time in the business, but I just want to thank you for taking some of the time to look at this project. And if things change for you, please let me know. By the way, I won't mention it to you again. I want to maintain your friendship is important to me. I care about you. I love you. I never wanted to pressure you. I just really feel important about it, and I'm moving forward with this. So, and then, you know, the next time you meet up, don't bring up the business. Don't talk about it. Go to an event, go to a tea party, go do the things that you used to do, and don't mention it. And do that 2 or 3 times, and I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're gonna come back, and they're gonna, you still doing that water thing? Are you still doing that thing? And you're going, yeah, it's going really great. Well, what do you mean? You're not really that interested, so I don't want to share it with you. And they're like, no, I want to know. No, and I said, no, you know what? I really pressured you before, and you know, it's working out really great for me, but I just don't want to go there with you. So that's when you got to take the takeaway, right? You got to take it away from them at that point. So you just flip the control of the situation, and that will be very, very powerful for you. Okay. So here's another one from Claire. Hi, Claire. How's it going tonight? Do the 25 texts go to 25 new people each week, or did you say you can use those 25 and follow up for existing conversations? Yeah. So Eric Worre breaks this down really well in the 25 text strategy. Now, you got to realize that if you send out 25 texts, so you text 25 people, you are not going to get 25 responses. If you get 7 responses, if you get like 7 bookings out of that 25, you're going to be doing good. That's top shelf. You're in an elite league at that level. So it's important for you to recognize that you've got to you gotta manage expectations in this business. You're not going to close every sale, nor should you. You shouldn't close every sale. You might be the world's best salesman, but you should be not closing people that shouldn't be closed. If they really can't afford the machine, they shouldn't be closed. If they really aren't into the business, and you know, be responsible. As you become a great salesperson, and you will if you stay in this business and you do the trainings like the Jordan Belfort trainings and these type of things, you'll become a great salesperson. Anybody can become a great salesperson. You got to realize you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to be qualifying people and say, do I really turn on the salesmanship juice here? Because you're going to have to wield that responsibility. So going back to the 25 text, if you get somewhere, you know, your range on that's probably going to be 5 to 10 people who you're going to get bookings with. Okay? So, or that will commit to bookings, but they'll not all show up. So if you're hitting that level, I mean, you're doing great. So what you're going to do is you should be tracking this with the tracking sheet that we provide in the sequence. And let's say you got 10 people, you're an all-star and you got the 10 people. Well, you're going to add 10 new people to the list, and you're going to follow, and you're going to hit the 15 that didn't get booked last time. You're going to hit them again, and you hit them again, and you hit them again. You remember, it's I think it's 6 no's to get a yes on average. So you got to pitch 6 times. You got to expect that they're going to say no. You got to expect that you're not going to book everybody. You got to expect that people aren't going to show up. So if you book 10 people are coming to a meeting, maybe 4 will show up. Those other 6, you got to text them again next week. So the good news is you only have to add however many people that you got to demos to the initial reach out. You're going to re-hit the other ones. If you're closing lots and you're world class, you're going to be excited to send a 25 new text, because that means you got 10, 15, 20 new people in your business. You're already a 4A. So, everybody's different, and everybody's got a different qualification, or, who gets in or involved in all those different things. So that's just to get clear on that. So hope you understood that, Claire. Here's one's from Sherry Williams. Hi, Sherry. How you doing? If someone starts the business with an Ukon distributor, do they qualify to get a full tax refund even if they do not get their machine in the same year? First off, I can't give tax advice. Number one, we have people from all kinds of countries. You got to talk to a tax accountant out there. You cannot get a tax break for something you haven't paid for. Okay? So I don't, you got to talk to the accountant, but here's what I know. If I have $4,000 or $5,000 in expenses in my business, I take that, I was just at the tax office today, and I have my bookkeeper present all of my expenses for the year, and I take those expenses over to the tax accountant, and the tax accountant fills out the stuff, and they tell me how much is taxable and how much is not. That's it. That's the extent of my knowledge. I hire a professional in this industry, and I say, you do this, and they do, and it works out great. It's just really that simple. Okay?
Yeah, every tax accountant, every tax is different in every state, every country. So just the best advice that you give, that I give too, is exactly what you said, Wade, is ask your tax accountant, because they're going to look at what your deductions are, are you an LLC, are you this, are you that, and that's going to make the biggest difference for you. So you got to check that with whoever your legal source is for your accountant, your CPA or whatever.
So here's a question from Tom. I just got home. When and where will this webinar be posted so I can watch it all? All of our webinars are posted on the Prosperity and Health website. You can go to the training library, and at the training library is a link to our YouTube page. And their YouTube page has every webinar we've ever done. So not only can you get this webinar, you can get all of them, and we'll have that up probably in a couple days after this call as part of this series. So it's a great thing. I think we've got 40 webinars in there on every single aspect of the business. So there's not anybody, there's nobody in all of Enagic who couldn't access these webinars and learn every single component at home in their pajamas about how to do this business. There's no there's no excuse for anybody. So thanks, Tom, for bringing that up, because the bottom line is it's all there. Really helpful. So Sonia, you got that. That's great. Thank you. We have any other questions coming in? So just type in the questions. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes. While we're doing that, I want to share with you about it was magic to be in Okinawa with Mr. Oshiro. He was really fired up. His 76th year birthday in Enagic Global Convention, and I mean, talk about a message. I don't know if you guys have read the eFriends, the book that comes out from Enagic, and I'll tell you, it really gives you perspective. Here's a guy 76 years old. Most people are thinking about retiring. He's thinking about expansion. Many people are looking, how do they save as much money as possible? He's looking, how do I build a new, how do I build a, we went bowling, he built a bowling alley for the distributors. He's built a spa for the distributors. He's built a golf course for the distributors. He's building a resort for the distributors. He's planting trees for the distributors. He handed out, I don't even know, it was in the millions of dollars of checks to people at the event. And then he was handing out envelopes to people at the dinner. He was giving on his own birthday, 76 years old, traveling the world, making a difference, helping people get healthy, helping people get wealthy, helping people have peace of mind. Really, really amazing company and amazing movement, and you're all part of it. So we don't seem to have any more questions. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. It's my pleasure to serve you in Enagic. We are delighted to have you on the Prosperity and Health Alliance. Please be sure to tune in each and every week except the first Monday of the month, and that is when we go to the Prosperity and Health Alliance. We go to Kangen One Info. So I do believe that next week we're on. So next week we have we still got another month here. I'm just looking at my calendar. Next week is the 27th. So we'll be back here, same time, same station, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm Wade T. Lightheart for the Prosperity and Health Alliance. So great to have you on the call tonight. I'm delighted to be in service with you. I'm delighted to be with the project Enagic, and I'm delighted to help you. Make sure you reach out, connect with us, and we'll see you on the stages at the next big Enagic event, collecting your new rank. See you then.